the pro game to the amateurs, you know, is certainly toughens you up. You know, the pro game certainly toughens you up way more than the amateurs. Let's be honest. And you know, is it obviously when you're with a full team of amateurs, you know, you're all training together, you're all running together. But and I have been alone for literally the majority of my professional career. I was doing it on my own. Yeah, and it was lonely, but I think it just builds character, builds mental toughness in me, and toughness to go over to America for 2 years on my own, 8 weeks at a time, going in hostile gyms with 20, 30 Cubans around the ring, all cheering for him and stuff like that. And here's me, a little skinny English white boy, just, you know, going in there and having to prove myself to them all. So it certainly toughens you up. The amateurs, it's, you know, you're sparring every week with the same guys. So it's that fear, you know, it's not always in your stomach when you know and when you spar with the same guy over and over and over and over again for a year or 2 years, you know, it's that element of fear that you don't know what they're going to bring, you know, is different. But it's the pro game certainly toughens you up from the amateurs.
Has there ever been a time where, because from what you said there, it sounds like the inner confidence has been in place maybe from quite an early stage, or from earlier than it is with a lot of people. But when we speak to people about the amateurs, it's amazing how many people are happy to just admit to the doubts and the fear early in a pro career, early in an amateur career, when you're a kid. Even Froch, I could hardly believe it, said that, you know, at one point he felt like if I just jumped out of this window here before one of his amateur bouts when he was young and ran away, would it really matter? You know, other people have told us about throwing their gum shield in a bush to try and make sure they couldn't fight, and then someone offering them a spare one, and, you know, them feeling like they wanted to strangle them. Was it always for you, or did you have moments like that yourself?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I did. I always remember as an amateur, like in my 4th amateur contest, where I went to see the doctor, you know, just before you've weighed in, then you see the doctor, you know, at like a local club show. I was waiting and seeing the doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, how are you been feeling? Are you okay?" And sorry. Right, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so he said, how you feeling? Are you okay? So I said, "Oh, well, I've had a bit of a cough lately." And then he just said, then he signed me like a cunt box, do you know, on that show, because I told him I'd had a cough last week. So then my coach stormed back with me to the doctor and said, "No, he's fine, sign him there, he's fine." Boom. And then signed me down, and I was all right to box, and I won that night. But no, not really. For the rest of the question.
Look, I remember the first time I heard of you was there was a kid called Michael Maguire. Now, my brother boxed him twice, and my brother's mate Rooney had boxed him. So I'd seen Michael Maguire box a few times. I remember thinking at the time, he was one of the best schoolboys I'd ever seen. And then the next thing I know, I got told he got beaten. And I was thinking,
I fucked him up.
Who beat him? And then it was you. Do you remember that fight?
Yeah, I busted him right up. Do you know who come to watch him fight? He brought David Hay to watch him fight because David Hay was going to sign him.
Yeah, and I think they did sign him for that. Eventually, anyway, I think they did sign him, didn't they?
Yeah, Michael Maguire even told me he'd stop smoking to fight me. But he was literally, I think he had like 94 fights and lost 2. But yeah, I beat him good. I think I'd give him a standing 8 count and everything. So it was a good day, that. And then the next day after it, I beat another national champion 21-0. 21-0.
Was that where you kicked on to another level, do you think, as an amateur from around that point?
Yeah, I guess in the seniors, yeah. In the seniors. That was in the senior ABAs, my first one. So I won that one. I won 2 senior BAs, but yeah. No, sorry, I'm lying. That was my second senior BAs.
So how did it all start in the first place? How did you, why boxing?
Good question. I don't know. I just thought it was a cool sport. I thought I could win a few trophies. I thought it was cool. I did play rugby league at the time, but I always wanted to do boxing for no reason whatsoever. Didn't know a single boxer in the game. No one I knew of was boxing, but I thought, oh, it's cool to do boxing.
So what was it though? What did you? I mean, you must have. When I was a kid, for example, Karate Kid. When that came out, I would have been 6 or 7, and so all kids, every kid wanted to do karate. Every kid wanted to do karate. I've been watching Cobra Kai actually the last few weeks. Absolutely tremendous trip down kind of.
You've got a look at Karate Kid.
Well, I think one.
Yeah, don't Miyagi me, will you?
No, he's more like Tintin.
Where's your dog at?
One thing I've got in.
Have you got a dog?
I haven't got a dog.
Oh man,
But
that's a real letdown. That
something I've got in common possibly with Daniel LaRusso or the guy who plays him is that I look younger than I actually am, because he's nearly 60, and they've still got him in Cobra Kai doing kind of like karate moves. It's not all that convincing, to be honest. But anyway, that's why everybody it was karate when I was a kid, because we'd all seen that. So, I mean, there must have been something that made you think that boxing was a cool sport.
Really, honestly, there wasn't. I think one night I decided not to go, and I probably would have never gone. But my brother went, and I felt sad that I'd let my younger brother go to the gym on his own. So after 5 minutes of him already left the house, I caught him up. I got my stuff, ran, caught him up, and went to the gym. But if he would have said to me that night, "Oh, do you know what? Yeah, I'll give it a miss," I may have never went again. So, yeah, crazy.
And with the other, you said you played rugby league. Was that kind of the sport that you followed as a kid then, or what was your hobbies as a kid?
Rugby league is massive in Hull, in the north, really. We've got 2 rugby league teams in the Super League, which is Hull FC and Hull KR. So it's always been a big rugby city, and most of my mates did it. So I sort of did it as well. And I was a forward, believe it or not. I was a second row. I was a little chubby kid. But I wasn't that good at it. Didn't enjoy it. I just did it because my mates did it, I guess. And then I started boxing, and then I stopped doing rugby so I could fully commit to boxing. And
when did you get down to the St. Paul's Boxing Club? Was that the local club?
No. For me, it was a different club called Fish Trades, and I had my first 9 fights. I only won 3. So I didn't get off to the best of starts, and then from being there a season, because I was fighting. I only walked in the gym 2 months, and then I was carded. I'm fighting after 2 months of ever walking into the gym, and then after a season there, I decided to move to a different gym of St. Paul's, and then started there. I mean, like this first gym, say for instance, on my 4th fight, I went over to Ireland with the gym to fight, and they put me in with a 3-time schoolboy Irish champion with over 100 fights. I'd had 4 fights. Got stopped in the 2nd round, but I had a cracking first round.
I mean, that's mad. That sort of match shouldn't really happen, to be honest.
No, he should have been disqualified from boxing, that fella.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope he watched this interview.
Yeah, I hate seeing that or hearing about the young kids in there. People just want a level playing field. You got a young kid, Luke, there, 3-4 fights, and he's boxing a kid who's way more experienced. Do you know what I mean? That's how you've got someone there that's gone on to an Olympic gold medal, probably and hopefully will win a world title, that really might have just thought, I don't want to box anymore, because he got disheartened early on because he was slung in by someone who just didn't care. His coach didn't look after him. These are people that are looking after young kids. Do you know what I mean? And they just don't care. People actually be banned from boxing.
Yeah, I mean, his excuse was he always had the towel to throw in. So, but I mean, a couple more fights, I would have done him, but.
But like you say, you could have got disheartened at that point. You throw the towel in. You're a young kid. Your pride's hurt. You've been stabbed. You could easily think, "Nah, this ain't for me," and then you wouldn't have gone on and had. Look at the career you've gone on and had. Which is obviously always in you, capability-wise. Yet, if you'd have got disheartened or sickened with the sport or disillusioned with it early on in your life because of someone that didn't give a shit, basically, and then you lose good kids like that. It's really not.
It's true. I think my that's what happened to my brother because he was boxing me at the same time. I think he lost his first two, got disheartened, and then just went elsewhere. But listen, it's easy to have confidence when it's all going good, but when things aren't going good, try having confidence then.
That's when it builds the character.
Yeah, I am a character builder, like.
So let's have a chat about London 2012, because it's a home Olympics and the pressure is on to deliver, and the pressure was on the whole team to deliver there, because I remember it well. I remember the build up to it well. We qualified a lot of boxers, qualified even more 4 years later in Rio, but we qualified a lot of boxers and some very good fighters too who medalled at major tournaments in the build up. Yourself, Anthony Joshua, of course, Tom Stalker. We're talking Fred Evans, Andrew Selby, who was a pretty supersonic amateur, Josh Taylor, who had a sprawling, vast top international amateur career, but just kind of fell short in the major competitions. Where I'm talking Olympics, World Championships, European Championships there. So what was the expectation like within the setup? Because with the Olympics as well, what's really important, and sometimes people don't realise this, is that that individual sport and that individual program, they need to achieve the kind of medal prediction, or it can affect their funding for the next 4 years, basically. So there is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, of course. Basically, what you're saying is if we don't medal, they lose the jobs. That's it in a nutshell, really. Because we need to guarantee funding by getting medals. So if there's no funding coming in, then there's no jobs. So the pressure is on, of course. Like we need to hit a certain target of medals and stuff like that for Team GB to secure the next Olympic cycle's funding again. So there's always pressure on, like, to go up there and win, of course.
What was the whole experience of the Olympic Games like? I mean, did you get to do the opening ceremony, or was your opening bout a bit too close to that? Did you experience all of that?
Yeah, I did the opening ceremony. Seeing a lot of kids walking around, happy to be there in the moment, happy to be a part of it. I was never one of them kids that wanted to be a part of the Olympics. I wanted to win it. I've seen so many kids there just happy to be a part of it, and I'm like, I couldn't care less to be a part of it. I need to win gold, and that's it. I really wanted to medal and obviously win. But there were so many kids, no matter whether the lost, they was just happy to be a part of the Olympics, and that was never me.
Well, I mean, it is something that I do wonder about a bit myself, because it is, for me, looking on, it's an enormous achievement to be an Olympian, but the fanfare that greeted our Rio 2016 Olympians when they signed pro was considerable, but only one of them got a medal. Two of them, sorry, Joe Joyce and
Josh Boazzi.
Joshua Boazzi, of course, and Nicola got another gold medal. But you always had that mindset that basically getting to London 2012, you weren't going to go out and get the Olympic rings tattooed on your bicep. It was all about getting a medal, and if you didn't get a medal, then you'd feel like you failed.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because if I'm not there to get a medal, then what's the point? I was really there to win it. I wanted to be the best.
Was that a common attitude within that group, do you think?
Again, everyone individually might have had a different mindset, but for me, that was my mindset. But so I can't speak for the rest of them. I don't know what their mindset was like, because you was all sort of in your own routine. You weren't sort of moving around in groups sort of together. I mean, you go for breakfast together and things like that, but you was in your own individual routine because everyone's fighting at different times and things like that. So yeah.
I mean, but